Was one of two tight ends. Yes. There were three receivers. All right, guys, we're back. It's Thursday, February 6th. We're back here at the Craft Emporium, top of Ohio Radon in the garage. We've got a car chase going on behind us. We certainly want to thank Paul Newland, our sponsor at Top of Ohio Radon. Give Paul a call, 937-935-2806. Have Paul Newland come out, check your mercury levels, your radon levels, maybe your mercury levels too while he's at it. Check your radon levels, let you know, give you the peace of mind. If you got good levels, you're good to go. If not, he's the guy that'll come in and simple little process, not that expensive, and make sure your family's safe from harmful effects of radon. I want to thank Craft Emporium. We're back here. It's a little smaller crowd tonight. Not going to be quite as loud. Some of the loud guys are at home. Brian Harmon continues his Caribbean, I believe, hiatus. He's somewhere in the Gulf of Mexico / America, I believe. I don't know exactly where he's at. He's on a boat somewhere. Tonight we are joined by head girls wrestling coach Brian Newland, Benjamin Logan. Coach Brian Newland, you are a 2012 Ben Logan graduate?
Yep, correct. It's been a little over 10 years now.
Wrestled for Hall of Fame coach Tony Grant. Grew up, born and raised Ben Logan, I assume?
Yep, wrestled there since I was 5.
I was the head coach at Bellefontaine from 09 through 13, so that encompassed your career. I did some research I remember you being a good wrestler. I was like, okay, where did he finish? 2012, your senior year, we go to Marion. For those that don't know, the Southwest District, in their infinite wisdom, sent Benjamin Logan, Indian Lake, Graham, Bellefontaine, whoever was in that district or sectional, sent our sectional to the Northwest District to tangle at Marion Harding. So my question to you is, I don't know how you did in that tournament because the internet has lost that tournament. If you go to Baum's page, it says link's dead. And I remembered back in the day, I was on a site called Jake's Wrestling. I don't know if you remember that. I can't find the results. So you're going to have to tell me what you did in 2012, your senior year.
I believe I was 2-2, just fell short of placement.
You had placed the year before as a junior, sixth
Correct.
place at the Wilmington District. Goshen in those days. That's right.
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
So you were a district placer as a junior. You go 2-2 as a senior. Now, I view you, and I'm just saying this because you're here, I would just ignore it if I didn't believe this. I viewed you as a state caliber kid. I mean, you won a lot of matches. You were CBC champion. You were definitely a tough kid. I would guess, and I assume you agree, that Marion district didn't do you any favors.
Oh, it was brutal. I remember, I think that year, all 4 of the kids who made it out in my weight class were top 5 in the state. And then there was even a kid who actually, funny enough, I wrestled with in college at Heidelberg, he was a D3 state runner-up the year before to Stever, and he didn't even
Logan Stever of Monroeville, Ohio State fame.
He didn't even make it out of that district being a state runner-up.
So that was a huge deal there. I think we were there for 2 years we were there. It would have been your senior year and the year after. And, we always had a really tough district from the standpoint of we had Graham. I wouldn't say the district was particularly tough. Graham made it tough. And then they took that sectional, and they shipped us to the north where Clyde and Toledo Central Catholic and Oak Harbor and some really hammers. And it really hurt, obviously it hurt your finish as well. Bellefontaine, it hurt us. That was our bet. Your senior year was our best team. We placed a half point out of third in the CBC. We actually finished above Benjamin Logan, Indian Lake, which that's really rare in the history of Bellefontaine, Indian Lake, Ben Logan. And we had 7 district qualifiers, and outside of Johnny Maurice, I mean, we faced like you did. You go from that Goshen district to the Marion. It was night and day different. But so you end up going to Heidelberg.
Yep.
How many years did you wrestle there?
Went there for a couple years.
Okay. So you were a very good wrestler in high school. Been a big part of Ben Logan. So at what point do you come back and start helping? Pretty quick.
Yeah, so I, there after the first semester, in that second year, I came back, hopped on as a volunteer with the middle school with Kevin Butler. So hopped right in with him, and so had another great coach to hop in and learn from. And then obviously, being under Tony and Robin and all those guys.
And so at some point you take over that middle school program.
It was, I believe, my second or third year that I ended up taking over the program. And then I ended up doing a total of 9 years.
Oh wow! Yeah, that's time goes fast. So the whole girls thing. So in the last 4 or 5 years, it has started and grown quickly. I was unaware. At Bell Fountain we had Chelsea Horsley and Michaela Young who were wrestling with the boys, and they were 2 really good ones. I did not know that Ben Logan or the Lake had anyone. What does that date back to with you guys? When is your first girl start wrestling?
So actually, if you go back, my very first year coaching, I coached Taylor Heights, who obviously I coached Reagan, her younger sister, and Taylor wrestled with the guys all the way through, and she actually ended up becoming Tiffin's first 4-time All-American.
Yes, and I did actually know that, and I kind of misspoke there. I was saying I knew that the Heights girl had certainly been a tough wrestler. Which, speaking of that, the Heights. So Russ Heights is close to your age, and Russ is the oldest brother.
I believe, yeah, he's the oldest. He was a year or two younger.
And we still have Heights in school.
Yeah.
So Hayden, I assume, is the brother,
Yep.
and I assume Reagan. Is that it? Are we done with Heights when they're done?
Yes.
They're the youngest.
Yeah, I think that.
That's a
Hayden
decade.
Will be the last one.
That's a decade plus. So there's probably 5 or 6 of them, maybe total.
Yeah.
And all good wrestlers. We talked about that off air. That Ben Logan, and you can speak more to this. Certainly, one of the advantages you have at Ben Logan is this families that A, have brothers and sisters, and B, have sons and daughters. Would you say you recognize that in your program as being one of the strengths?
Oh, it absolutely helps. I mean, you have that full support from the family, which, obviously, knowing wrestling, having the support from the family is huge in a tough sport like that. And,
The travel,
continues to grow.
the time commitment. It's not the most fan-friendly sport. If you have parents that aren't bought in, there's really not much hope for you as a kid, because they have to commit that, hey, we're going to spend 10 hours in this gymnasium today, and we're basically going to center our lives around it. And if you want to go to camps, and we're going to spend some money and all that stuff, and certainly, Ben Logan, we'll get into that as we go. But so Taylor Heights wrestles on the boys team, though. She's just battling the boys. At what point do you guys start dabbling in the actual girls portion of the sport?
So it was short notice. Last year, before season, it was about a month before season where there were several girls interested, and got talking with athletic director, kind of said it's finally time to pull the trigger on it.
Who's a wrestling guy, Bo Harmon.
Yeah.
Don't get a lot of wrestling ADs.
No, that's another help, having the support there. So I ended up having a few girls interested, and obviously having the support of him. And then obviously with Bell Fountain and Indian Lake already having teams that year that had kicked off, it was just the right move.
Was last year the first official year of girls wrestling, like Ohio High School now, instead of the whatever it was before, OAC?
Ohio State
Yeah.
Conference, whatever. It was,
Last year was the first girls state process, correct? Like true state process.
2 years ago, the OHSSA adopted it.
Okay, so this will be the 3rd season of it.
Correct.
And last year is your first official year. You're hired. Now, talk me through that. So you're the middle school coach. Bo Harmon approaches you and says, would you do it? Like, how do you guys decide? I always wonder, because, you look at Phil McAsee at the Lake, Brady Hyatt at Bell Fountain, Ben Griffith at West Liberty. These are all guys, wrestling guys. How do you get selected, or what makes you decide that you're going to be the guy that jumps over?
There was a formal process, but it was brought up to me since I had kind of been with the program for a while, and at least had some experience over the years coaching a few girls in there on the middle school side of things. So it just felt like a good move.
And who took your spot with the middle school guys?
So a few years ago, we had Matt Marshall come in, who's actually an Indian Lake graduate.
Yeah, okay. No, I remember him.
Yep. So real good guy. We had coached together for 3 years together in middle school, and kind of we shook everything up. I went up to the girls. He came up to help me out there, help out with the boys team, and we brought in a few new middle school guys also.
So how you guys doing? I'm familiar with your room. It's still the same, right? The wrestling room that you grew up in. How are you guys? Are you practicing together, or are you truly practicing separately than the guys' team?
Well, so starting off last year, we only had 4 girls on the team. It was, other than Reagan having a little bit of experience prior in middle school, all brand new. So it worked out that, we kind of were able to teach technique with middle schoolers involved, where, we're only teaching it one time, be able to help continue on with the middle school program. Fast forward to this year, jumped up to 10 girls and a couple middle school, made the move, split off, but it is a packed madhouse in there for
But you're practicing at the same time.
Yep,
But you're the one hollering, like, Coach Seeley, the head coach of the boys team, he's doing his own thing and you're just sharing mat space.
Yeah, correct. He's doing his thing, and middle school guys are doing theirs there in the middle, and girls are doing their thing on the other end.
Are you sharing partners at all?
Not typically, no. Luckily having the numbers that I do this year, it's been able to have good partners for everybody. So
Do you think, because I think that's probably, each program's probably doing it one way or the other. Like, do you feel like being separate is the way to go, like, to grow your own identity so you're not just an offshoot of the boys team?
yeah, I definitely think so. And all coaches clearly have some different styles. And just, I wanted to be able to completely start fresh, build it up from what I wanted it to be.
Do you think girls' styles need to be different than boys in general as well?
To a point, and that's the, I saw, you were up at Iron Maiden here a couple weekends ago, big tournament. Girls wrestling is a really tough technique thing-wise right now with stylist coaching. You can definitely tell the newer programs who are coming in just trying to get some success, and you
Head and
see
arms.
tons of head and arms, and just hey, what can I get some quick success with? And I've tried to take the opposite approach, which a little bit more learning curve, but I've tried to work it from the basics up and go heavy on technique. And we're doing a lot of same things the boys team's doing. So I think it's pretty clear if you watch our girls wrestle versus some of the other teams, they're coming out a little different.
The bad wrestling was as bad as I feared, but the good wrestling was way better. Like, I really, honestly, I've never been anti-girls wrestling by any stretch, just not really my thing. But it kind of became my thing quickly being there. Like, I told Coach Hyatt that I'm a fan. Like, the good wrestling was really good. I particularly was impressed just because she was on my mat, the 235 from Indian Lake, Maddie Miller, and it helped that she was wearing a Garage Sports shirt. But watching her change levels and blast double, I was like, yeah, that's wrestling right there. And it definitely made me look at it differently. And obviously I got to see a few of your girls. I really wanted to see Bella Hughes on my mat. We kept looking at the track wrestling and seeing who was coming. We never did get to see her, but obviously you got a good thing going there. So you go from 4 last year to 10 this year?
Correct.
I mean, what do you credit that to?
A lot of it's been word of mouth, friends of friends, hey, I'll try that out type of thing. But I think a big part is, having Reagan being a senior, being the heart of the team, and coming out last year, being able to have her as a state placer, and having Sophia Harris come out be a state qualifier, who first year ever even touching a mat comes out, be a state qualifier. I think that kind of gets girls seeing like, oh, well, maybe I could do that.
Yeah, no doubt, success. And I'm a big believer that if you want to turn around a program, which you're not turning around, you're creating it out of thin air. When I took over the Bell Fountain program, I felt like I had a lot of work to do, and it certainly never got to where I wanted it to go in 5 years, but made some inroads. I always felt like the quality of people that I had in the room really mattered, and not just are they good athletes, but are they kind of kids that other kids want to be around? Like, you want those kids that are like, they're just high quality kids. And those, for me, and it's a name you'll know is Taylor Kaott. Taylor Kaott was a guy that when I got him to come out for wrestling, then that led to like 3 more guys saying, oh yeah, if they're wrestling, then yeah, like you're saying with Heights and Sophia Harris, then that 3 girls that were kind of on the fence say, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And then, luckily, and maybe you'll disagree with this, but there's opportunity for success right now because there's some bad wrestling, right? I mean,
yeah, it's like you pointed out there. There's not a lot of those middle of the road girls quite yet. There's not the depth there, but there's some really rough wrestling, and then there's very, very high level wrestling there.
Which is not unique to the girls' sport. The boys' sport has some of that too. I always used to say that with 106 pounders, 103 in my day, and heavyweight. If I could get a little guy or a big guy, I'd say, look, if you're even halfway athletic, I can get you to 500. Paul Shao is a guy that's close to your age. Paul Shao comes out at heavyweight, used to battle Bo Harmon, by the way, and would give Bo Harmon a good run, not because he was as good a wrestler as Bo, because he was massive, and he was a decent athlete, and he was fairly tough. So what I sold him is, look, dude, you don't have to be that great at this to come out and have success. So it's not unique to just girls wrestling. Boys wrestling deals with it as well. Now, that 145, there's some pretty good depth there. If you come out in the middle weights, you probably better be pretty good. I'm curious, how much do you think the wrestling is better from last year to this year, just what you're seeing in tournaments?
Oh, it's the depth is growing year over year. There's probably several dozen new girls teams already popping up out of nowhere. And then, you got some of these powerhouse teams that are just turning it over now at this point.
Marysville.
Marysville's a big one.
Olentangy
Orange. They're pretty well established now as the top couple teams in the state. I would say, obviously, they have great talent, but, having that depth of numbers and having that workout in the room day in, day out is going to push those girls.
And you see a theme there, good boys programs that the boys coaches take on the girls program. Nicola, is that the Olentangy Orange guy?
Brian Nicola,
yeah. And Sean Andrews at Marysville. These are 2 big-time coaches that basically go all in on the girls' sport. And I would say Ben Logan and Indian Lake, locally, you're the 2 best programs, really for decades here in Logan County. Both of you have taken high-ranking officers, you at Ben Logan, Phil Mackesy at Indian Lake, said, okay, run with this. And to me, it's, in my mind, the girls have become an extension of your boys program. And now, what'll be interesting as years go by, what you guys don't have much of yet that I saw at the Iron Maiden, but it will change quickly, is you'll start having girls coaching girls. Not that has to happen, it's just you'll start getting those girls that in 10 years, the Brian Newland, maybe it's Taylor Heights, Reagan Heights, come back and say, well, now I coach. And they'll really, do you think that girls wrestling will someday, girls basketball and boys basketball really have nothing in common. I mean, they play the same sport and they're friendly, but they have their own deals. Do you think girls wrestling in 10 years, 20 years will kind of be that way where you almost be separate?
I think eventually it'll continue to branch out as there becomes that more depth. But, wrestling is just, it's different. It's a tight-knit sport. And when you have, especially the same room like us, and you have those athletes coming in that they know what it takes to come in there day in and day out, I think there's a little bit different level of respect even coming from the boys back to the girls that, hey, they're putting in the same work we are. So I think there'll always be some close, tight-knit to that. But, as it grows, I think it will become a little bit more of its own identity.
So I do want to talk about your team specifically. We can go through weight class by weight class. I've got down some of your heavy hitters. I keep track of the records there on our site, and you got 6 of your 10 have winning records. So that's obviously a testament to the strength of your team. Starting at the lightest, so 100 pounds is the entry weight class. Feels like girls have the same problem boys do. That feels light. I don't think we have a Garage Sports 100-pound qualifier, if that makes sense. Are you seeing that 100 is light, from a wrestler standpoint?
It's like you said, it's very similar to the boys. That lightweight class and even the heavyweights. There's not the numbers there at tournaments. But yeah, that's
I wonder if they'll bump that weight up. With the boys, I know there was probably an idea of, okay, it's girls. Girls, certainly can be smaller than boys. Not always, but, okay, we'll make it less. As you look at those numbers, maybe they'll say, we'll just move that 105 will be the entry weight moving forward, and then maybe put another weight. Your gap between 70 and 90 is pretty big. 90 to 235 is real big. Be interesting. I know they always look at that at the sectional entry grid. So you do not have a 100-pounder?
no 100 pounds.
So Belen Palmer is your first wrestler. She's 23-10, sophomore,
Freshman.
and second-year wrestler.
She is third-year wrestler. So I've coached her in the 2 years in middle school leading up to now also.
And she had some success in middle school.
Yeah. Girl came out 7th grade, probably floated around a 500 record.
She's wrestling boys at that time.
Yep, middle school still wrestling boys.
Yeah.
Clicked a little bit more there in the second year. Ends up going out last year, OAC middle school, took 5th at state. And then she continues to put in all the work, going places, this and that, and it's really clicking this year.
She play other sports.
She does a couple other sports, track and soccer.
Would you say, like, as a whole, your team are multi-sport athletes?
I think about all of them are. Yeah, it's soccer or softball, pretty much primarily for most of them.
Soccer in particular would seem to be a good pairing. Softball is a skill sport, but soccer, the conditioning and just being able to move. I'll let you walk us through, because honestly, I don't have the weight. They've got me on the boys team with their changes in weight classes too. So I definitely don't have the girls memorized. So as we move up from Belen Palmer, who's next?
Next girl in the lineup at 120 is Ella Stute, another freshman, first-year wrestler. Friends with friends, and came out and real athletic, and kind of like to your point earlier of recruiting standpoint, kind of always make those same sort of don't want to say promises, but hey, you're athletic and you come out, I can get you to a 500 record.
We'll get you a varsity letter.
Yeah,
at the very least, you have a spot. That's the nice thing when you're building something. There's opportunities there. And that Stute is a Ben Logan name. I mean, that's her parents, I would guess, are Ben Logan people. We talked about that Ben Logan certainly has the market cornered a little bit on people sticking around and their kids are Ben Logan kids and parents are Ben Logan people, and that really helps. Your next weight class, I don't have to ask. I know this is one of your hammers, 125, Bella Hughes, who's 27-6. We featured her as Athlete of the Week after the Iron Maiden. I believe she got second place at the Iron Maiden.
Correct.
Beat a Marysville girl that was ranked ahead of her, right?
Yeah.
Had she wrestled that girl before?
Had not seen her. That was one we were looking forward to. But yeah, and coming out and beat a previous year state qualifier, upperclassmen. So that was a good win for her.
The girl that beat her in the finals, did you say she was from Napoleon? Is that what you had told me?
No, that was
She beat the Napoleon girl.
Yeah, beat the Napoleon girl. Wrestled I believe she was a senior from Defiance. Went out and tough match. We were up 7-0 and get caught and end up dropping that one.
And that girl is ranked above her on that Dubstat. Now, do you watch this Dubstat guy?
So that's a big new thing. I know us kind of coming up, it was always the brakeman.
Right.
That was the big thing.
And Burrow fan.
But
he doesn't. I don't think he does the ladies, does he?
I don't believe so. So this Dubstat, pretty cool new thing. Brakeman was always I think he was
Like a philosopher.
Yeah.
He'd write, it was a book.
Yeah. And now Dubstat's taken a new approach to it where it's all mathematical based.
Analytics.
Yep, analytics, and it breaks down the girls. They all have a ELO ranking.
What does that mean? Elo. I've seen that.
So it goes through and it factors in their strength of schedule.
Right.
Where the kind of nice thing with it, obviously at the end of the day, rankings are rankings. But the nice thing with it is there's no bias to it
Right.
whatsoever.
We had talked about it. Football has this site called Fantastic50.net. Drew Pasteur, he's a MIT grad. He's a professor at Worcester, and he uses that computer. And he says that his rankings are as good as the computer, and that's what Dubstat says as well. And like you said, yeah, no ranking's perfect because things happen, but it's better than having bias. And he's not going to. Now, he is subscription based because I tried to go in there. If you're not in the top 10, he'll show you the top 10 for free. But after that, which I understand, he wants to pay for his work. But it is interesting, and he'll do head to head. But I think Bella's ranked 7th, maybe 6th.
Yeah, she's bouncing around there in the top 10. She's got a couple losses there. A couple of them being from out of state girls from when we went to the big Finley tournament there. And then
Now, Hyatt said that was bigger than the Iron Maiden.
Yeah, bigger, a little more teams, but they, I believe, brought in a dozen teams from out of state, all top-ranked teams from their state.
And Hyatt, I believe, I don't want to speak for him, but I believe he said that Ohio still had a little bit of work to do in the girls' sport, that he thought we were maybe a little behind a few other states. Have you seen that?
Obviously you got your powerhouses, you have your Pennsylvania and your Jerseys and California, things like that. But it's getting there. Like I said, some of these other states have been around a few more years than Ohio. But you look at it, like we mentioned, Olentangy, I believe, is the 3rd or 4th ranked team in the country.
Okay.
Marysville is up there, ranked somewhere in the country. So, it's getting there.
Do you know how many girls teams there are in Ohio this year?
I'm not positive.
Still one division, right?
Still one division. I know last year over year, just based off the alpha testing numbers, it had more than doubled in just 1 year.
Wow.
And I believe it's still true that it's the fastest growing sport in the country.
Yeah, that's that is impressive. I would guess 2 divisions are coming soon. They've gone, I don't know if you noticed, they went 7 divisions in basketball, I believe in soccer, I believe volleyball. Like, there was an explosion of growth. Now it's a money grab by the OHSA, which, for girls wrestling, 2 divisions certainly would be easily explained, and maybe 3. And there's talk that wrestling's about to go to 4, which I don't like, but, I guess I can't make a good argument why wrestling is only 3 while other sports are 7. There is an element there where you say, what's the difference? But, all right, working up from 25, who we got next?
Going up from that, got a couple other first-year girls at 130. 2 brand new girls came out. They've kind of actually been flip-flopping in the lineup a few times this year. Both having some success there.
Do you bump one of them up every time?
No. That's actually the only spot in my lineup where we do have a backup.
I got you.
Where it doesn't quite work out to have everybody wrestling, but luckily with girls wrestling right now with these tournaments, they're all still getting in. So.
Yeah. Now, postseason, they won't let you do that, though?
Yeah,
It'd be
correct.
one person?
Yep, still just like the boys.
And what are their names?
That is Mallory Chapman and Haley. Gosh, throwing names at me.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Hopefully she's not listening.
Yeah.
Odds are she's not.
Yep.
So we're good. All right, so after that, then you must, so the next week, so it goes 30, 35, right?
30, yeah. From
you must
from
have
the bottom weight up to 155, it's every 5 pounds.
So you must have a 35-pounder. You'd be bumping one of these 30s up.
Yep, 35-pounder. We have another freshman, first-year girl, Addie Anderson, came out. She's been battling through it, trying to, pick up some wins. But that's a.
Have you lost anybody? I don't have to say any names, but has anyone quit?
Luckily, no.
That's pretty good. That's a good stat.
Especially for half the girls never doing it before
Yeah, dude,
to come into
if
that.
you're 10 of 10, that's a pretty good stat. Because
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever coached a team that somebody didn't quit. So, and 10's enough that you'd expect 1 or 2 to, especially you got a few that you're getting beat on a little bit. It's easy to want to walk away from it.
Absolutely.
So, we got a 40.
No 40, no 45. Or actually, so there was a surprise here about a month ago. Like I said, no, another friend of a friend.
Bring them on.
We had a Saturday practice before a tournament.
Stayed the night with someone maybe and showed up for practice. That's
Yep.
a wrestling tradition.
Showed up. I said, hey, why don't you try it out? Well, I'll wait till next year.
Yeah.
Well, let's gain
The
some.
dreaded wait till next year.
Yeah, let's try it out. And you know, she hopped right in. Parents were on board. Got her outfit on the deadline for it, and you know, she came out. She actually Iron Maiden was her first tournament she wrestled. So
Baptism by fire.
yeah, absolutely.
And what is her name?
Oh,
Still learning her name. That's all right.
That is Kelsey Jumper.
Kelsey Jumper. Well, good. That's that is one of the cool things about wrestling is it is an inclusive sport. Like you would never do that in basketball, and rightfully so. Not that basketball should do that, but because our sport is not as deep. Certainly with the girls, but even the boys, we do the same thing. I don't know how many times we have added wrestlers because they hung around wrestling practice, and you say, "Well, what are you doing? You're gonna watch. You might as well come on out." And we did that with Pee Wee. My son is 6 years old, and he started the Pee Wee deal. So we don't do the tournaments, but so I was the coach of a developmental league, 6 and 7 year olds that didn't do tournaments, and we had one dude who was a brother, Zai Day, who's a basketball player, and he's a good athlete. He would come with his brother, and I said, "Look, dude, you might as well come on out." So he'd come out and would practice with the wrestlers for 30 minutes, and my point is, A, it's good for him because he's a kid, and B, you just never know. I mean, let him come out here long enough, and maybe someday he'll look around basketball and say, "I like that wrestling better."
Yeah, worst thing that's going to happen, you're going to come out and get in good shape. So.
Exactly, and it's and obviously as a lifelong, there's so many lessons, and now as a father, I'm looking at it differently. Like I actually had a talk with my son a couple days ago on the way home from school. I said, "Hey, wrestling's over for him," and I said, "I want to let you know, you're going to wrestle next year," and I've never done that. Like I pretty much, my kids, I really am not the overbearing, but I said, and he's 6, so he doesn't really understand anything, but I said, wrestling's good for you. I said, you don't have to wrestle in the matches, I don't care, but you're going to keep wrestling. I said, because it's good exercise, and it'll make you tough, and it'll teach you about life. And he said, oh, okay. And, so we got that out of the way. He's going to wrestle for a while. Now, if he's in the 5th grade and he tells me he doesn't want to, I'll listen. But at 6 years old, anytime he doesn't want to, it's because he wants to play video games. And, wrestling's about the best thing that's opposite of video games.
Yeah, keeps him busy.
Back to your lineup. 55, I think, Livy Aker.
Livy Aker. She is a junior, second-year wrestler. Another one, family ties.
Another Ben Logan name.
Yep.
Jeff Plikert, it feels like, and I know Jeff Plikert is related to some Akers.
Yep.
So like Dan Aker, and that might not be the right name, but it's Jeff Plikert's son. Jeff Plikert, longtime Ben Logan, wrestling figure. I don't know what you call him. Super fan.
Super fan would be a great thing.
It's not I actually saw him in the background of a photo. I love creeping on backgrounds of photos, and I love looking for Jeff Plikert in particular. You're not at a Ben Logan wrestling event until Plikert comes up, kind of hits you on the back, and has some smart aleck thing to say.
He's always there. So that's.
And he's got that old school Holloway coat on that Ben Logan loves, which has now come back into style. Tadian St. Clair has a Ohio State Holloway. It's got the trim. You know what I'm saying? Coach Pat knows what I'm talking about. That Ben Logan wore that for like 30 years, and now it's in style again.
That was big Tony Grant thing.
Now is that still a thing or no?
I believe it still is. That was always you earn your varsity letter, and you got to earn it though. And
Nice.
you better.
Now I would get off track. I saw Coach Grant in a photo in the background as well. So he's still coming around.
Still coming around. I still have phone calls with him every once in a while. Obviously having that kind of a guy in your life and be able to get some advice from is bar to none.
Is he kind of into the girls too? Like he likes it?
Yeah.
Nice.
He shows up. We've got a tournament this weekend. I talked to him. He's like, "Yep, I'm gonna be there." So yeah, he's getting into it.
And I haven't seen him in a long time. I don't know why. I have no good reason on earth that why I mean, certainly it's not like for any reason. I miss him. I don't think he's a listener, but I did a couple little pieces on him. Hopefully he saw it. I don't know if I don't think he has Facebook.
Probably not.
He didn't seem like a Facebook kind of guy to me, but I love Coach Grant. Love seeing him around just because obviously for me it feels like a connection to the past. Where do we go from 55? Is it stay? Now do we start jumping?
55, big jump up there in weight. We jump up to 170.
Oh, yeah. So that might be the place that 100 could kind of. Yeah, that's a big jump right in the middle of your lineup.
Yeah, they're from 55 to 70 and 70 to 90. Those are rough. So girls got to make big choices.
You're cutting hard or you're bumping heavy. Yeah, so I would guess Livy Aker and Reagan Heights when they wrestle, that's a big. Obviously, Reagan Heights is your best wrestler, or certainly one of your best wrestlers. That's a tough bump up. So Reagan Heights at 170, 23-2, placed 5th. You said last year.
Took 5th.
And talk me through that a little bit. So that's at the shot, which I know that goes without saying, but it's at the shot. It's run the same way as the boys, right?
Yep, right alongside of them.
How many mats?
They still run I think they bumped to 12 mats now instead of 10.
They can fit 12 down there?
I believe it was 12. The big change is finals now having 4.
So they took the stage away.
A lot of people hate that.
Right.
You don't get that same effect.
And what's
there.
the problem? They can't fit 4 they can't do it?
They said something about not being able to do a stage for it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a question down the road. And what do you think? Would you like to see your state tournament be separate, or you like them being together?
I think it's a good thing right now, them being together. I don't think they'd quite get the same level of support if they completely split it off.
Right, there'd be less people.
But like I said, I think the girls is growing so much, and there's high level wrestling now where, I don't think you could be a dad of a state qualifier down there and not be entertained by it.
Yeah, agreed, no doubt. Now the challenge is you're going to get so big that you'll just no longer be able to do it together. If you get as big as you think you will, it'll just logistically it'll be a problem.
Yeah, that might be the thing.
That's
where
the problem.
They split the
two divisions. Yeah, and I'm not involved with it like you are, but my gut tells me that it's kind of nice, especially a guy like you. That you're still a guy, lifetime guys wrestler. You gotta like being able to watch both, right? That's gotta.
Oh, absolutely.
And you like those guys watching you, right? Like, hey, if your girls if one of these girls wrestle for a state title, you're gonna love it that the boys crew's there, and all the people that you grew up wrestling with and coaching against, and they're all gonna see it. And if you go to the girls only, you're gonna lose that. You're just gonna lose it. You're still gonna have your own deal, but so talk to me about Heights. Do you know where she's ranked, Dubstack? Because I don't think I've looked.
She, I believe, she's bounced between 3 and 4 this
Okay.
year. Her, like you said, she's got a couple losses on the year.
Those two.
She started the year off at 190 before making that cut down. So she wrestled 190 at that fight tournament in Finley.
So it's hard to even compare that.
Well, she took a loss in the semis to the number 1 girl in the state at at 190.
Yeah.
And then we were winning there for 3rd place and kind of got caught. So, and I believe that girl was the 3rd ranked at 190. So, no slouch competition there.
Undefeated at 70.
Correct. Yeah.
What do we know about the girls ahead of her? Is there someone looming out there that you're like, this is the girl?
There's a couple. We haven't seen either of the girls above her in her career. One of them being a junior from Loveland, Ohio, 2-time state champ.
Okay. She's legit.
She's legit. Top 10 nationally ranked girl. Don't know a lot about her this year. She actually just wrestled this past weekend for the first time because she's coming off knee surgery. So don't know what to expect there. And number 2 girl in the state, bumped up, state runner-up at 155 last year.
Now, so tell me about your district. Your sectional is where?
So sectional, this is the first year that the district board took over girls distribution.
Okay.
So actually, don't know. Have voting this
Draw.
Sunday. Yep, draw for that.
So you're going to choose, or they're going to place you?
So with girls, if you have 7 or more on a team, you get to choose your draw.
And what are the choices? Where are we talking?
We could go to Loveland, Eaton
For sectional?
for sectional.
Oh,
yeah,
good
we
God,
so
that's
we
a long way to go for your
we got
sectional.
placed into the Southwest.
Okay.
Loveland, Eaton, Western Brown, or Greenview. So not great choices.
None of those are short trips. Greenview's the closest, and that's probably an hour and a half from Ben Logan. So yeah, we need to work on getting Northern School to put a bid in for. You got to talk to Bo Harmon and say we need to host a sectional at Ben Logan High School. That's a whole nother topic, but the Northern schools have always been screwed on sectional stuff. It's always around Dayton. You're describing as more Cincinnati. So you got some decisions to make.
Yeah.
And talk me through that. So you're, obviously you're, I don't want to speak for you, but you're looking at your studs. I mean, that's what you're going to base it off of. You might have conflicting if you're worried about Bella, you're worried about Reagan, you're worried about Sophia, maybe Bella and Bellin. Any thoughts? Like, do you know, or are you still flying blind?
I've been, the research I've done here in the past week or so has been.
You better get a subscription to Dubstat.
Yeah,
the free 14-day trial is what I recommend.
Yeah, there's been a lot of research there trying to break it down. Like you said, that's kind of the ones you got to look at, who has the better opportunities to get out. Got a couple options because, like you said, one path is great for one may be a little more rough for the other. But like in Reagan's case, Loveland and Eaton both host their sectional. We know the number 1 and number 2 girl in the state are going there.
Right. Oh, that is guaranteed.
That's a guarantee.
Okay. Well, that helps. That's an important nugget to keep in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Now your AD, luckily he's a wrestling guy, but Bo Harmon may say, hey. It's a lot cheaper to drive to Jamestown than it is Loveland, but either way, it's a trip. So then you feed into the districts. Where at?
Districts is set. Another rough drive. We'll go to Harrison.
Oh, geez. Yeah. I'm not trying to keep this thing neutral anymore. So clear down to Harrison, which they've hosted before, haven't they?
Correct. Yeah.
And you'll be down there that's where the lake will be. That's where Ben Logan will be, or West Lib will be. That's where Bell Fountain will be.
Yep, all the local teams will feed into that.
And you're all in one division, so which that is, and I get it. Like, you need expansion, but it is kind of cool. Like, if you told me boys wrestling all got to be in one division, as much as a wrestler, I would have hated it because I would have went from, I was a district champion in Xenia Division III. I wasn't going to. If you bring in the D2 guys, I'm not winning the districts. Bring Ty Morgan from Graham. You don't know who that is probably, but bring him into my weight class has been a struggle. But as a fan, I'm like, yeah, I'd like to see that. I'd like kind of a Royal Rumble type deal. So you kind of got that going for you right now. Top 4. I mean, it's all the same setup though, right? 4 go. The draw is all the same. You go into the shot. We got off track there. So Heights. You think she wants to win it?
Absolutely.
Like, truly wants to win it? Like, not just saying it, like she's training for it and she thinks she can do it, and that's awesome. That's got to be exciting. Like, you're dealing with some girls that you're, it's almost like pee-wee, or you're teaching them things, and that's cool too, and I'm sure you get rewarded. But it's nice to, in your first, couple years of head coach, you got somebody they're in the fight at the very least. Yeah, whether she gets there or not, she's there.
That's one, you go through and you want to hear the kids say their goals, and that's one where I don't even have to question it. I don't even need to talk to her about it. I know her goal.
You're packing a suit to Columbus.
I packed one last year.
Hey,
one last year, so I think that boosted her confidence a little bit more, knowing I think you can get there.
I packed one for Johnny Maurice his senior year, and we didn't get there, but I still wore that suit on Saturday. And I got a lot of weird looks, namely from guys like Tony Grant looking at me like, why are you in a suit? I'm just, buddy, I packed a suit, I'm going to wear a suit. But, all right, so big jump, 20 pounds, Sophia Harris. Tell me a little more about her, because she's kind of been off my radar.
Yeah, so she's came out last year, had never seen a wrestling mat before.
Family of wrestlers?
Not at all. Nope,
Okay.
No involvement in it whatsoever. And came out, started off your typical first-year wrestler, not having a lot of success, and then come by the end of the year, things were really clicking for her. Ends up taking 4th at districts and qualifies to state.
And so, I mean, obviously the goal is to get back there. Placing is the next step. Is that a realistic goal, you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So she ended up going 0-2 last year at state. Big learning experience. First time you're down there at the shot, it's obviously a shock. she was slightly over 500 last year. Like I said, she started off a little rough, and then it just came in this year, and everything was already clicking. She's mowing through girls, and she's has beat several top-ranked girls in the state. I believe she's sitting right there around 10th ranked in the state. So yeah, she's with a real possibility of making podium.
Have we missed anyone? I kind of jumped through there. I feel like that should be 10. I hope we didn't leave anyone out. We did. We missed a name there too. Middle school, you said you only have 2?
Have a couple, yeah.
That kind of surprises me. That feels like it would be opposite. Obviously the goal was to get those numbers up as quick as possible. What about your club? How many girls would you say, if you had to guess, are in that club?
I believe there's only 2 or 3 at the club level
Really?
also. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Now that surprises me. So, I mean, that's the obvious next step is to capitalize on the success of these girls here that we just mentioned and get those middle school. So, and we all know this, you certainly know it, so you're not fighting, you're not teaching the Sophia Harris, you're starting from scratch her freshman year. You get her out in the 6th grade, and by the time she gets to be a freshman, you're so much further down the road. Because, I said it when Coach Andy Hartshorn of West Liberty was here. When I first started wrestling, it was in the 7th grade. How old were you when you started wrestling?
5 years old.
Okay, so
you started right from the beginning.
You did it. And, who were the guys that were working with the club back in those days when you were little?
The big figure, Joe Heater.
Joe Heater, yeah.
Another legend.
Yeah, yeah. When I came to Bell Fountain, he was the guy running it. Now he's not involved anymore.
Not too much involved anymore, no.
Now Harvey Heights would have probably been around back in those days, right?
Yep, Harvey, and then a lot of these guys coming through high school, their dads were involved in it.
But when I started in the 7th grade, I struggled, and I always tell kids that, like, I got pinned in 7 seconds my first match, and of course I had a buddy, Gabe Griffith, who state placer at West Liberty Sam, placed 4th in 1994. He started calling me 7, and called me 7 really off and on for many years, so that was great for my self-esteem. But I lost like my first, it's like 15 matches, and I was frustrated. I was a decent athlete, not a good athlete, but for wrestling I was like, we don't always get good athletes, so I was like decently athletic. And these older men would be like, you just have to understand there's a process. Like you have to go through this. Like you can't hit fast forward. You're gonna learn things, and then it's just gonna pop. And it did. And not that I was a great wrestler, but good enough. And if you can start them when they're younger, you start that process earlier. So you're not going through these growing pains when they're in high school when you're playing for keeps.
Yeah, that'll definitely be the next process. Is the girls right now I have at middle school level are still wrestling a full boys schedule. Middle school girls is a little slower on the growing, but I think that's obviously the next step is getting a girls schedule for middle school and getting them used to and comfortable with just wrestling girls.
Is Taylor Heights around?
Taylor, I'm not too sure what Taylor's doing now. She graduated there from Tiffin.
Nice to get and just someone. I'm not volunteering her, but someone like her. I mean, I do. Obviously, guys coaching certainly that's a good thing, but I do think there'll come a day where getting them girls back. And Chelsea Horsley's doing it at Bell Fountain now. They don't have much of a team there. They have they're the opposite. They have some middle school girls. They're down to 1 girl at the high school level, which is tough because they had those 2. Really, I mean, pioneers. Chelsea and Michaela would be considered, like pioneers of local girls wrestling, and they haven't been able to capitalize on that with numbers. Now, you guys and Indian Lake are at the high school level, so it makes me excited. It's something that I didn't give it much thought, but I'm in now. And it is kind of neat to watch something grow. And I think my guess is you'll look back someday and you'll be very thankful that you went on this journey because you're doing something that you just didn't really come along. Tony Grant would be a good example because he did do that at Ben Logan. He started the program. Most of us when we coach or whatever, we just join in, and you're at the beginning of something. So, and you're a young guy. What are you? 28, 29?
30. Yeah, I know.
Now, do you see? And not that you have to sign a contract here, but is this something you think this can be your identity moving forward? And you stick with it?
I definitely think so. I get that question a lot. You know, even at practice, the girls are like, did you want to coach girls,
Right.
or and I think, especially when you come back, you start coaching. I think anybody's dream. I would like to take over the boys program.
Right.
Then this came along, and being able to start it from scratch and build it up the way I want to, I think is a unique experience. And at this point, obviously it's nice having some immediate success, but it's something I wouldn't trade my path.
Yeah, and I don't think Kyle Seeley's going anywhere. Doesn't feel like it. I don't know. I haven't asked him, but does he have young kids? I assume, right?
Yeah, he has a couple there in middle school and high school.
Wrestlers?
Nope, neither one of them
No?
wrestling.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
that opens the door a little bit, but he's got a good thing going. He's done a really good job. I know Kyle I took the Hammer Wrestling Club, now defunct Hammer Wrestling Club. We were in existence for about 3 years. We took a trip in a van. Some Ben Loden guys went with us, Hauslers, Caleb, and the other Hauser boy, Cole and Caleb went down with us. Ronnie took the RV, and they took some dirt bikes. It was just a great wrestling trip. We went down and stayed in tents in Alpharetta, Georgia, where Kyle Seeley was coaching. I took kids from Ben Logan, Indian Lake, West Liberty, and Urbana and Bellefontaine. And we went to a 3-day wrestling camp at Kyle Seeley's school. I don't know if you're aware of this happened. You would have been probably just out of school.
Yeah.
And we went to Six Flags. I was like, you do some things in wrestling that are different, and I do miss it. And my son, showing interest, or me showing interest for him, it's sparked something in me, that I've missed these last few years. Now, what I don't miss, and maybe you'll comment on this, is begging people to wrestle. That was one of the things when I was the head coach that wore me down, especially when I had to beg my current wrestlers to wrestle. I said I could recruit kids. That's kind of fun. Re-recruiting kids annoyed me. Like kids that said, "Oh, next year I think I'm going to take the year off and focus on football." I'm like, yeah, I don't know what that means. What you're focusing on?
Yeah, that's that's one thing I tell a lot of people with girls with wrestling that I'm really lucky with is, you'll have some athletic guys that come out, they'll wrestle, they'll try it. It may catch on, they may fizzle out. With girls and it being new, they're there, they're loving it, and it takes a lot more, I think, for a girl to come out and try a sport like that where, it's going to be tough. And, so like I said, like you said, having 10 out of 10, stick with it. I think that if they're going to come out and they're going to be there, they're all in on it, which is awesome.
Well, I think you're just scratching the surface. My guess is that both you and the Lake in particular, but even some of the other schools, that you're going to be at the forefront of this for a while. Heck, your roster's mostly young, right?
Yeah, return everyone but Reagan.
Yeah, so you're going to start catching girls that you haven't even considered yet, and they're going to show up, kind of like a couple of your gals did. And exciting. I think guys like me that have been asleep, I don't say that, with any kind of pride. I've just been asleep on it a little bit. It hadn't really affected me. I think when you get in guys like me that are casual observers that say, "Hey, I like this," you're onto something, and that'll keep happening. And that's the nice thing about having the boys and the girls together right now, is you are getting that exposure just basically for free. And my guess is, I haven't gone to the state tournament the last couple of years. My guess is there's a bunch of you saying, "Oh yeah, I saw it last year," and yeah, you're behind because these girls are tough and a lot of fun. But good luck. I'm honestly, I have not gone to the state tournament in the last few years. I think I'm going to the state tournament this year, and a big reason is to watch the girls. I want to see what happens with Bella Hughes, Maddie Miller, Sophia Harris, Bellen Palmer, Augusta Biederman, Chloe Griffith. I can name them. I want to know how they're going to do, and so it's all exciting.
Yeah, there's like you said, Logan County. There's a lot of girls that I think will be there, and a lot of them that have good shots at going pretty high on the podium too. So,
well, that's awesome. All right, man. Well, I appreciate it. Always want to thank Brian Harmon, Craft Emporium, Tanisha McCreary. The guys were a lot quieter tonight. They're really gearing up for tomorrow. There's a big going away party here tomorrow. So some of them are taking it easy tonight. But always thank Paul Newland. Speaking of Ben Logan Wrestling, Paul Newland is a Ben Logan Wrestling alum. Tucker Newland, Bell Fountain Wrestling alum. Paul Newland, Top of Ohio Radon. We appreciate all his support. We appreciate him listening. He is one of our loyal listeners on YouTube Live. We don't know how many, but we do know how many we have. But we know he's one of them. So see you next Thursday.
Sweet. What's up, sir? How we doing? Not too bad.